So, guess who's back?
That's right, it's Bash class. This time, we decided to step up the costume game.
No, it's not the time. Anyways, and this week we're going to tell you all about the French Revolution.
Allons-y!
So welcome back to this really low budget film that's really amazing, so of course you want to see it.
So, anyways, time to learn about the French Revolution, a very important time in history.
And because we already established that time machines are a necessary tool to teach history in our last video, here we are in late 1700s France. Bonjour, ça va?
Oui, oui, ha.
Excuse me, I don't think... That's not how you speak French, you Cheeto-looking... right now. Where's the sound guy?
Dad.
We are the sound guy.
I told you we were low budget.
So, let's set the scene.
So, in 1788, things were calm, but social classes were biased, like they are often now.
There were three classes.
The peasants and the other working people. There was the bourgeoisie, making up one class.
You'll hear more about them in a minute.
Anyway, the other two classes, which were the rich,
basically they didn't care about the lower class.
in short, the lower class, who named themselves the National Assembly, were suffering, and the rich were prospering, and that's how they liked it.
But, wow, the royalty and the lords were getting powerful. Peasants were being crushed. Yes. We should probably have mentioned that the other two classes were the royalty, the clergy, and the other rich people. France was divided because of these social classes.
But then, in 1789, everything changed.
For better or for worse.
You'll never know, because we won't tell you.
Yes, we will. Anyways, in 1789, the French Revolution started rolling. And as you might know, this wasn't the only huge revolt in history.
The American Revolution was right before this. You might know.
France was in debt because of this, partly.
Remember, kids, because when we talk about taxes being raised, this is one reason. But it doesn't matter at this point.
Because we've got some history to unravel.
The French Revolution began with uproar from the lower class, or the Third Estate.
People of the lower class were being overtaxed, all because King Louis XVI was bad at finances and had some debt to pay off.
And Mary Antoinette wanted to eat cake.
No.
Oh, you're kidding.
The king called a meeting with representatives, some who represented the Third Estate.
But from the Third Estate, all the representatives were lawyers and bankers and people like that.
So really, the poor had no voice at all like that.
And even though nobody wanted their taxes raised, King Louis XVI, the king at the time decided to do it anyway.
But guess who was paying most of the taxes?
That's right. Not the rich people.
Sounds a bit like a problem, doesn't it?
Hopefully people will learn from history. Don't let him run for president.
Vote for Bernie, 2K16.
Anybody but Trump.
So, of course, nobody was happy about these taxes being raised.
And what happens when a bunch of angry people try reasoning with each other? Fighting, disbanding, rebellions, you know, all the good stuff, aka revolution. Like we said, taxes were being raised.
So, like any normal people, they had a convention at Versailles on May 5th, 1789. No, not
A convention, an assembly.
true.
Très bien.
Very fancy.
This assembly consisted of a group of people angry about the taxes and angry about being kicked and locked out of their meeting hall.
I could see why they're angry, of course.
In this assembly,
Which took place on a tennis court, by the way.
the people discussed what had to be done.
They proclaimed that they would stay there until something was done about the problems held.
Louis responded by sending in troops, breaking up the meeting, and firing his chief minister, called Necker or something.
Necker was apparently understanding to the plight of the people.
What are we going to do about this Louis guy?
Hey, break it up. The meeting's over. I'm gonna fire you. You're fired. Okay, what else you gotta do? We gotta take away everything, so you gotta go, buddy. Goodbye.
What's up with this Louis guy?
Goodbye.
He's full of the food that we're not getting to eat.
Get dunked on.
Food was getting scarce, and people were losing their minds. That seems to be a common theme among people. Cough, cough. There were 2 world wars and lots of revolutions. But that's aside from the point. Food riots started up in the beginning of 1792, and you guessed it, there were fights and killing and destruction involved, because it's a war after all. With all this mayhem underfoot, the Guillotines in power at the time decided it's a good time to start a war with Prussia and Austria, which ended in a huge failure. Shocking, right? Hey, it looks like the fireworks are starting.
Is it the 4th of July or something?
Not everyone celebrates America's Independence Day, Brenda.
Well, I'm suing.
We're in France.
I'm
Brenda.
gonna sue France!
Think of the children.
No.
Come on, the burgers are ready.
That's good, because I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. I'm Dad.
Brenda, wait! No! You're not letting me sue France!
Son, it's time to go.
You're not far off, though. It's actually July 14th. It's called Fête Nationale, or Bastille Day as it's known. It's a French holiday that celebrates the storming of the Bastille to get weapons, and the beginning of the revolution in the summer of 1789. Same concept as the American Revolution, Brenda, but we're in France. Let's give you some history on it. The Bastille was like this fortress, castle type thing, I guess you could call it. And, it was in Paris, and the king was getting bashed on for what he was doing, so you know what he did? Made it into a prison for all his haters.
Screw you, haters! I'm a king! Put you in jail!
And then stored a bunch of stuff in there too, because why not do that with an empty thing? You got it there. So, as you know, the people of France hated what was going on with the political statuses, so they did what any kind of protesters would do, and they attacked Bastille, because when life gives you unfair and cruel punishment, you gotta beat it back in the face, I guess. So that happened.
Gathered as many guns and people as they could and charged the Bastille.
The battle lasted for hours, and many people died, including most of the prisoners. But the people had captured the fort, so at least there's that. This was one of the big turning points in the war. An important thing about the revolution was that women were involved. Maybe not as soldiers, but as writers and, etc.
Kind of like how we had to write our own script.
Now is not the time. Sweaty.
Excuse me. Right. So, anyways, some women to know are
Olympe Gouges.
She was a writer, but she was also a feminist.
Yeet. And Madame Roland, who would send letters to leaders of the revolution and hosted gatherings and such for revolutionaries and political groups that included women.
Some, like we mentioned, also led protests in the October of '89.
Taylor Swift was born!
Wrong century. Let me clarify. 1789. Anyways, Taylor Swift was born in December. There was an important protest led by women.
I remember now, the March on Versailles. It was led by women who were at the market, and many people joined them.
By the end, over 1,000 people had shown up. The protest was over bread prices and how little bread there was left. Like we said, Louis was full and all the food they weren't eating.
Eventually, though, this protest became part of the work of the revolutionaries seeking
Change!
Unfortunately, many of the protesters were executed. Publicly, of course, for taking action.
Because, hey, let's have a party, I guess.
To Versailles, down with the king, make some noise. Ah, we want bread. Kill Marie Antoinette, we want her head. Yay, down with the king.
Not all women were for the revolution, though.
Some didn't want to change what was going on because they felt like it was normal.
And that it was interfering with the church. Even though the idea of having a separated church and state was implemented way before this.
That's besides the fact. Another small protest that happened involved the king directly this time.
In Paris, where the king and queen lived, the people had had enough. They trapped Louis and Marie in the city. One point, they tried to leave, but no such luck. They were caught, possibly by a postman, and were returned to their royal prison.
You'll never catch me alive. No! We got him. We got you now, Louis. You'll never escape from us. Back to your prison.
And now, time for the email. Dear Louis XVI, I don't have anything to say to you other than to state the fact that you are a huge bud. You could have avoided having the French Revolution altogether if you had just not raised taxes. Or even better, listened to your people, you thick-headed, Cheeto-looking.
All right, bud, chill.
Je ne vous aime pas pour votre visage.
You're gonna get us beheaded. Louis doesn't like this.
Jamais! And now, back to your scheduled program.
Get ready to watch our feature presentation on Talking with Countries.
Hello, and welcome to Talking with Countries.
Bonjour, je m'appelle France.
Omelette du fromage. So I heard there's a lot on your plate right now. How are you feeling?
Stressed out.
On. How did this revolution start?
It was the top 1%. America is the best. Nothing's wrong with our government.
And we're back.
So the revolution, you ask? It all started when the king of my country wanted the taxes raised. It all started when the king of my country raised the taxes. And the people didn't want the tax raised because who does?
It's true. But why taxes?
Well, you see, Louis XVI was terrible with finances. Let me tell you. So basically, he decided to use his people as a way to make more income so he could spend it more on his wealth.
That doesn't sound too good.
Never mind, he lost his head.
Literally?
Literally.
So, I've also heard of these clubs during your revolution. Like, what were those? Did people party at them?
No.
What were these clubs like? Were they like high school clubs? Like homework club? Like yearbook? Like,
Still no.
please explain.
There were many clubs during the war, like our political parties, and they all shared a common interest.
Yeah.
They wanted to get rid of the king. But in the king's place, they all wanted different things. Some wanted republics, others constitutional monarchies, stuff like that, etc.
Very interesting.
Some of the clubs included
I see. Well, can you tell us about what happened after the revolution with these clubs?
well, you see, someone by the name of Robespierre eventually got into power.
Robespierre, Guillotine, I've heard that name before. Who was he?
He was a politician. You may have heard of him. He was a Jacobin at one point.
Oh.
So basically, Robespierre was this dude who basically killed anyone who didn't agree with his political revolutionaries, and it's not a good time. He sent them all to the guillotine along with all of his comrades, basically, because they started to disagree with him.
Robespierre, you are a swine. How dare you, you fool? I will see your head in a bucket. No, Robespierre. It will be your head. Could you just give me 1 minute to change my wig? Oh, I missed! Oh, gee! Take this man away and cut off his head!
So yeah, that's all the time we have, folks. Thanks so much for joining us, France.
Thanks for having me. It was interesting.
Very interesting.
No thanks to America for interrupting us.
Au revoir.
Revolutionaries were winning the war by this point, but someone else was put in power, and the monarchy was removed. But things got a little out of hand.
To these people, off with their heads. How many heads can one man cut off? I don't know. Many. 17,000 perhaps. Well, there are enemies of the state, you know. They're everywhere. Off the heads, I tell you. Off the heads.
Think back to Robespierre. And so the war continued. And Robespierre got kicked out and beheaded.
Robespierre, you are a swine. How dare you, you fool? I will see your head in a bucket. No, 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 Robespierre. It will be your head. Could you just give me 1 minute to change my wig? Oh, I missed. Oh, gee. Take this man away and cut off his head.
Beheaded by the very weapon he popularized, the guillotine. Eventually, Napoleon came along, but that, mon ami, is a story for another day.
With the revolution marching towards victory like a steam engine, there came lots of death, either by beheadings, hangings, and pretty much any way to kill people.
Fun fact, the guillotine was invented around this time to kill people in a nicer way. But if you think about it, burning and hanging is slower and much more painful. Looks like it's time for our commercial break. Stick around for more Batch Class right after this.
Are you out of food, water, a functioning body? Well, have I got the thing for you. For only a small loan of $1 million, you, yes you, no, not you, can become part of the wealthy class. Live in luxury as others around you die. Louie, I made lunch is ready. I made your favorite dino-shaped chicken nuggets. Thanks, Mom. I'll be right there. Remember, nothing else matters in life other than dying, death, and wealth. Thanks for listening in. Just call 1-800-PLS-HELP. That's 1-800-PLS-HELP. Become part of the wealthy class.
We'd like to apologize for the next short commercial break. Thank you.
Are there armies massing at your borders? Are your people not wanting to pay these horrendous taxes you're doing? Need to start some chaos? Because I have the thing for you. For just a small price of turmoil and people dying, you can start a revolution. That's right. A revolution. Just call 1-800-PLS-HELP. That's 1-800-PLS-HELP. Call now and you can get 2 for the price of 1.
My queen, your people are starving.
Let them eat cake.
Though there is a 99.9% chance that Marie Antoinette never uttered the famous line, "Let them eat cake." The fact that someone could have uttered that is utterly ridiculous because the poor people couldn't even afford to get bread, never mind cake. And if they couldn't afford to get bread, that probably means they couldn't afford to get meat or vegetables or anything else of nutrition, and cake doesn't have any of that nutrition. So for someone who could afford to buy the food and have clean water, like Marie Antoinette and King Louis, was utterly ridiculous for them to say that, yeah. So you may be wondering why we talked a lot about American politics in this video. The American Revolution also started because of taxes, if you can recall. The rich also controlled a lot of the wealth, and Louis, who was in debt, was collecting more taxes from the poor, which isn't working very well. That ties in a lot right now with American politics, especially with the presidential campaign. Also, in the Talking with Countries interview, when we showed Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, it showed how the top 1% controlled all the wealth. It was kind of the same thing.
him.
I can't. Beautiful.
So you made me want.
Roast pig. Yeet.
This is yeet, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you want to start over? No, it's good. Gotcha. Throw the script.
It's fine. What's his deal? Oh.
It's noisy.
Howdy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The impossible that she said. Let's try that. Though there's a 99.9% chance Marie
Come on, rat. Eat it. Was stuff. Yeah.
No.
So you may be wondering why we made lots of references to the American politicals.
We want bread. Coming.
This movie was brought to you by my.
You look awfully taken aback.
Thank you once again for watching our show.
And until next time, let them eat cake.